Well, this is going to be great.
Welcome to the White House pod. With David A.R.
I'm gonna finish what I started.
It's not easy, but it's simple. Kevin Sorbo, how are you?
I'm good. Just got done with my workout, so that's why I'm in my workout clothes.
Of course you did. I mean, does Hercules ever not work out?
It's a drug. I'm not as strong as I used to be, of course, but it's my drug. If I don't work out, I get a bit grumpy.
Because you were massive. You still are. You're like six. What are you? 6'3", 6'2"?
I'm 6'3". When I got Hercules, I always worked out. I mean, by the time I was a sophomore in college, I was up to about 225 pounds. I stayed right in that range, and with that role. At Universal, they had 2,800 actors in North America read for that role, and I got down the last three guys on the seventh callback, and Sam Raimi was our exec producer.
Wow.
And I walked on that, the Black Tower right there on Barham and 101 at Universal Studios. I always call it the building where actors go to die, because it was all such a frustrating place to go into. And I told Sam, I said, look, you guys don't give me any direction here. Nothing. No, we like we do is go ahead and read. And then Sam hits the woman next to him. There's like 50 people in the room, men and women, all the big hotshot for TV and Universal and stuff. And the woman says, I'm the one who's supposed to ask you to take your shirt off. So I took my shirt off, and I was in good shape, and so I got a couple.
Wait. Who was the woman who asked you to take your shirt off?
I can't. One of the assistants.
Okay. I was thinking it was Sam. I was wait, did I hear the story wrong?
Sam, my wife, anytime.
Right.
But no, it was at my final audition, and then Sam says, "You're in great shape." I go, "Well, I work all the time, And he says, "So, if you get the role, are you willing to shave your chest and stomach?" I'm not like Robin Williams hairy, but I got a man cover. And I joked. I said, "Oh, I thought you wanted a man for this role." And I started walking off the stage. I got a big laugh. And 3 days later, I was up in Vancouver shooting an episode of The Commish with Michael Chiklis. Remember that show?
Yeah.
So I was shooting that show, and 3 days after I was up there filming, I got the call from my manager, and she said, "You got the role." So 1 year in New Zealand turned into 7. The coolest thing still is that first season, because I had to work a whole year with Anthony Quinn playing Zeus, my father.
Oh, that is pretty cool.
That was pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
How old were you when you got the show?
I was 34.
Okay. So you had already been, when did you make it to LA and start this whole,
I had all kinds of sidetracks to my life. And it's as you know, it's always a woman that gets in the way. So when I finished college, I was headed to LA, but
Sam's not listening, is she?
I started dating this girl for my last year of college. She was a big supermodel and stuff. And she said, "Hey, come to Dallas with me for a little while. It's a big market down there." So I followed her down there, and I had 2 buddies playing football at SMU already from my high school. I grew up in Minnesota, a little town in Mound, Minnesota, west of Minneapolis. And so I went down there, spent a year and a half. Then she said, "Just come to Europe with me, spend the summer in Italy." So I go to Italy. Who do I meet walking down the street? And I didn't know who he was. I knew his name, but he stopped me and said, "I want you to be in my show." And I said, "I'm sorry, but who are you?" It was Johnny Versace. So 8 months, I was going to spend just 3 months. 3 months turned into 3.5 years. I lived in Milan, I lived in Paris, I lived in Munich, doing modeling, doing a lot of commercial work. And finally, by the time I'm 27, I said, "Look, I got to get to LA. I've taken up 5 years of my life here now, and I've had a blast." But then I didn't get to LA till I was 27 years old.
All right, hold on. I gotta ask you a couple questions about this. Like, first of all, Johnny Versace. Do you know our friend Vincent DePaul, who's also Versace? Discovered him when he was on the beach when he was 19, and then he became a Versace. He became a Versace model for years, and big fan. If
I see him, I'd recognize.
Yeah, he did the Versace. What was the documentary? It's a Johnny Versace documentary, basically. That's been touring around in every film festival for the last couple of years. So, anyway, that's the only thing I know about Versace, other than the mansion in Florida, Versace Mansion, which doesn't have really great food, but has great. It's visually beautiful.
Yeah, in Miami, right?
Yeah, in Miami. Yeah. Did you not go there very often?
Not in Miami. No, I mean he was killed before I ended up moving here, but I knew him. I went to his mansion up in Lake Como, which is about an hour north of Milan. He used to have huge parties up there.
Okay.
That was I think George Clooney has a home on there. It's a beautiful part of Italy.
And you're from Minnesota. I don't think you and I have ever. Are you a Vikings fan? Because I am a
Big time. Big time.
How in the world do we not know this about each other?
That's funny. I know. We've only worked on a few movies together. You think it would have came up in conversation?
I'm a diehard Vikings fan because I was there. I'm from outside of Mankato, and from 6 years old to 12, and then of course I went to the Vikings training thing with Tommy Kramer.
Yeah, right. They're always in Mankato.
Yeah, and became a diehard Vikings fan, and I've been one ever since. And now my kid, I don't even know, I feel bad that I got him into, since he was 3 and he's in one. And are your boys, is your whole family Vikings fans as well?
My wife's from Pittsburgh, so no.
So where did your kids end up then? Where do they land?
They're Viking fans.
Okay, that's good.
They're Viking fans.
Even though
I go back. Have you been to the new stadium?
Yeah, I love it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. I go back every summer. I don't miss winters too much. So,
do you go? I only go to the Viking. I go to one Vikings game a year, but I always do it like here. Either here. Last year was in. Well, this last season was here. But the season before was in Vegas, and that game was, the 3-0 game.
Yeah.
That was a tough one, But I always do it on this side somewhere, or in Arizona if they play the Cardinals or whatever.
Sure.
I make it one.
I make it a 3-day weekend where I played football in high school, of course, and so I make it when they got a home game for my high school team, and then I know PJ Fleck, the coach of the Gophers, so he gives me 4 passes to be in the sideline every year, and then I got a buddy who's got a suite at the Vikings US Bank Stadium, so we make it a 3-day sweep of football, and I play golf in the mornings with all my buddies before the games. It's always a good time.
Where do you? What game did you see last year?
Oh my gosh, which game did I see last year again now? See how quickly I forget these things?
I know, I did too, but
because I've got the package so I can watch all the games here, and, where I live in Florida now. And, they had a 14-3. They had a great season last year.
I like the fact that you get to go, though, and you're in a box and you're there. Like, you actually make my kid, I've never taken my kid there yet to the game. And he's like, when are we going to go there? And I'm like, well, it's a whole trek. If I had your trek, though, probably if I was in a box and was doing golf and the whole thing, and that would make it easier.
Yeah, my best buddies are still guys I've known since grade school. One of them was just out here. His son's going to a Bible college in Orlando, so he's just spent Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday with me here, and we golfed 2 of those 3 days, and I just had a great time, just chatting up. I see him every year. I go back every summer and spend at least 10 days in Minnesota and hang out. I grew up in Lake Minnetonka there, and
nice.
We're all skiing and we're all tubing, we're all fishing. It's just a fun time with my buddies.
Did you are your parents at all in the film industry? I can't imagine they are.
No. My dad passed 12 years ago. He was 84, and he was a school teacher for like 35 years. He was 7th and 8th grade math and biology. My mom was a nurse, but she had 5 kids, so she became a stay-at-home mom with us kids. I'm the 4th of the 5 kids. I got 3 brothers and 1 sister. And I went to the Guthrie Theater, and you would know the Guthrie Theater.
Yeah.
And I was in 5th grade. It was The Merchant of Venice. I don't know what the heck they were saying because it was Shakespeare, but I was mesmerized by the actors on stage. And I told my mom, who was a chaperone on the bus on the way home, I said, Mom, I'm going to be an actor. She patted that nice mom pat on the thigh, and she said, that's nice, dear. But I think they probably thought it was just a phase I was going through. But, if you're a jock, you don't want to admit that you want to be an actor.
Right, yeah.
So we had Mr. G was our drama coach in high school, and he kept trying to get me to go in there. I was so tempted, but we always, I was in that clique of the jocks, and we made fun of those guys, even though the best-looking girls were in drama class. And I kept reminding my buddies of that.
Trying to get them to go over, and nobody would ever go over?
No, but when I got to college, I had a double business major and had a minor in drama. I don't think you need to go to college to study acting, but we had a good acting school. I went to Morehead State. I went even further, Fargo-Moorhead area. So I went to even colder place. But,
what did your anybody in your like your brothers or sisters? What did they end up in? Did they end up in?
My oldest brother, PhD mathematics, became an actuary. He's just a brainiac. My second brother, Tom, he followed my dad, became a biology teacher, but he's also a wrestling coach. NCAA's Division II, he was a 167-pound wrestling champ.
Oh, wow.
He was 5'8". He hated they didn't get the height because all his 3 boys are 6 feet or taller. But strong as an ox. Then he became the wrestling coach at St. John's Military Academy in Delafield, Wisconsin. And then my sister worked for a company, a gun making company, high-end rifles, hunting rifles in Sturgis, North Dakota, called Dakota Arms. They started like thousands of dollars and all the way up to whatever, And then my youngest brother, Scott, was 23 years in the Army, lieutenant colonel in the Army.
Wow.
And but now he's with his church, does a lot of work within his church, works part-time at a golf course, retired. He's got his two daughters nearby him. They live in Greenville, South Carolina now. And he's got 6 grandchildren. So all my siblings got married in their 20s. I didn't get married until I was in my mid-30s. So I was a holdout.
Did you grow up with faith? Like, were your parents Christians or Catholics or conservative or what?
Typical Minnesota Norwegian, second generation Norwegian I was. St. John's Lutheran Church. Parents very religious. From 7th grade through 12th grade, we had a place called The Room for all the 7th grade through 12th grade. We had our youth pastor, and that was 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock every Wednesday, year round. And that was more influential for me than our pastor, who scared the hell out of me. And I always found
is it because of the way he wore his hair, or is it because of the way his suits that he wore in the 70s, or was it more like?
No, I think just he was just everything. Breathing was a sin. He was just scary on the pulpit to me, and he just I don't know. I think the youth pastor, we could relate to him more.
Yeah,
he was like 24 years old when he came to our church, and Pastor Lee, he was just a cool guy. And I think one of the things that was huge for me. When I was in junior high school, we took a trip to see the Reverend Billy Graham speak at the St. Paul Fairgrounds. It was outside. It was a hot August night. Yes, people listening, it does get very hot in Minnesota in August, and there was like 300,000 people there. And when he finished, he said, I got all the volunteers, and from something I normally wouldn't do, I walked up, sat down in the grass with this guy, one of the volunteers, just started talking. He was probably 35 years old, so here I was 13, 14, so he's like a really old guy, right? And all of a sudden, a hand went on my head, and I turned around, and it was the Reverend Billy Graham. And he had his body people with him and stuff, and his head was perfectly behind the full moon. So it's like those pictures of Jesus with the rays coming out of the head and stuff. And we talked sports, and he prayed for me really quick. And I told that story in the Larry King show. I get a call from Larry Ross, who you probably know, works with Billy Graham. And he said, hey, we saw that story, and they're doing a hardcover book, the only hardcover book they've ever done for Chicken Soup for the Soul. We want you to be in one of the 101 stories. And so I'm in there with Mother Teresa and presidents, and so it's kind of cool. And
that's a really cool story. That is I wonder how many people he ever did that to, or how many kids. Have you ever met another kid that he did that to?
I'm not aware of. I'm sure he probably walks along, then meets people. I mean, he gets death threats. I mean, he's got bodyguards with him and stuff. And I get it. But
that's really cool, though. Have you been to his museum? Did you ever go to his museum in South Carolina?
I did not, and I should go.
Yeah.
I've been to the Bible Museum and with that Stephen Green from Hobby Lobby, but I've yet to get to the Billy Graham Museum.
Yeah. I see it on the, because we shot The Last God's Not Dead there, and then we've shot a bunch of movies in South Carolina, but I always see it, driving by, and I'm like, I need to get to the Billy Graham Museum. I've never been there either.
Well, the next God's Not Dead, you should resurrect me.
I know. Maybe, exactly. Wait, do you know about the God's Not Dead franchise, Kevin?
Oh, of course I do. I've heard about it. But it was, obviously, I remember you, because we did What If together, which I
think that was the starting. I think that's where we met you, right? That's where our first meeting was. By the way, that's coming out theatrically in August, right? Is it in August?
Very exciting. Yeah, I just got together with Dallas, and we had Christy and John Ratzenberg, and we did a bunch of promotional pieces there at the studio.
In Dallas? You do it in Dallas, or where'd you guys do it?
At TBN, outside of Fort Worth.
Yeah. Okay. It was right around NRB, I think, right? Or something.
I think it was.
Yeah. That's the
first NRB I haven't been to.
We were trying to put that together, and then something happened, and then I'm glad it did get together, though, which is great.
Well, it's very exciting, because I would put What If and God's Not Dead. I've done over 90 movies. There's a dozen that really suck in there, but those two movies are my top 5 that I really loved. I remember when you guys called me up to do God's Not Dead. and I can't remember if it was you or it was Michael, but I remember you saying, I don't know if you want to do this role because of what this guy's like, but he has redemption, and to me that was the important thing in that movie. That if there was no redemption for this guy, to me, what a loser. There's no. But I mean, of course, Pure Flix is going to put redemption in there. So I love doing that movie, and it just was such a surprise hit for all of us. We knew we had a good movie, but as you know, it's so difficult to get these movies out there if you don't have $100 million advertising budget like they do for these $300 million woke Snow White movies, So this is the
and
battle.
We know those go well.
Yeah. Oh, they're going to lose a lot of money on that one.
I think they're already bleeding. All right. When God's Not Dead, when you think about your first words, I think was one of your lines.
3 little words. God's not dead. Yeah. And but it's. When my
That's
mom
funny. That
up,
was your first monologue. That was the first thing that you did when you shot.
If I remember right, that feels like that was day one. I mean, for whatever reason, that just sticks in my head. But we're talking, a decade ago. But it was just so much. It was such a wonderful script, and it was such a great character to play. And because Hollywood doesn't do the love and hope, redemption, and laughter thing at all anymore. Everything with them is sex and hate and anger and more violence. And we got a battle. I mean, we have a spiritual battle as much as we have a cultural battle in this world right now.
I'm going to take you back just one more second about the God's Not Dead before we move on from this, because my first scene. So you came off of Hercules. When did you kind of veer out of TV? Like, what was because you had a big TV run, clearly, right? Did Hercules set you up for in the number one show, right, in the world? Does it just open up every door that every showrunner is like, oh my gosh, I could have Hercules? Or is it more, oh, I only see you as Hercules, I can't see you in this thing?
Well, I think that's the curse of television, right? That all of a sudden, you want to keep working as an actor, but at the halfway through season 7, Universal was talking about doing seasons 8, 9, and 10. But then I got a call from Majel Roddenberry, and Majel said to me, hey, my husband, Gene Roddenberry, who wrote the original Star Trek series, wrote this show in 1969, right after the original series was canceled. And if he were alive today, I think he'd want you to play the first captain ever created after Captain Kirk, which was Captain Dylan Hunt. So I went I lived in New Zealand 7 years, straight up to Vancouver, and we had a 5-year run in that series where I played Captain Dylan Hunt on Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda. So that was in 150 countries and did very well, number one in America and first run syndication. So I had 12 straight years from 1993 to 2005 where I was out of the country basically 10 months a year. That's why I got rid of my residence in California and moved to the Monte Carlo of Las Vegas, because even though I'm gone 10 months a year, California still wanted to make me pay state tax. I said, that's not going to work for me, guys. So, but I had, yes. So
Wait, what do you mean? Break this down. What do you mean you were at the Monte Carlo? Your residency was at the
No.
hotel?
I call it Monte Carlo because there's no tax in Monte Carlo. So there's no state tax in Nevada.
Right.
So
Were you in, is Monte Carlo Vegas?
Pardon?
Is
Well, you have a hotel, the Monte Carlo.
That's what I thought, right? Okay.
No. But Monte Carlo.
Okay, you weren't like Wayne Newton, who was living in the hotel, or Elvis on the top floor with the residency that you were never there. Because I would have borrowed your suite if you were.
No. I had a nice little 3-bedroom townhouse on a golf course.
Okay. And were we married at this point?
I got married on season 6 of Hercules. So Sam and I were together the last 2 seasons. She was living in New Zealand with me. She did like 7 more episodes of Hercules, and then
that's where you met, right? On Hercules.
We met on the set of Hercules in season 5. Yeah. It was a great dating service for me. For every episode, there was a pretty girl that came down to guest star. So
right.
It was pretty good for me.
Well, so how did this one go? Like when Sam walked in, how was it like different than all the other pretty girls that were keep coming? Like how did you turn? How was it? What switch flipped in your heart that said, "Oh, I'm done"?
What you just said, it a switch. It was weird. I mean, I knew the minute she walked in on the set. That was from my production crew on the very, very last day of filming, and it says it's got the dates on there, 1993 through the end of 1999 in New Zealand. It says the journey may be over, but the legend lives on. So I thought it was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. All right, so
my whole crew went on to work on Lord of the Rings.
Oh wow!
Peter Jackson would come on the set like 2-3 times every year while he was writing a trilogy of Lord of the Rings back in the 1990s, because New Zealand didn't have that big
You
of an
forgot one
infrastructure.
important element to be in the ring.
Yeah.
movies.
Well, you know what? But we had 2 spin-off series. We have spun off Xena Warrior Princess in season 3. We spun off Young Hercules in season 5. That lasted 2 seasons. It was canceled. Most people don't remember that series. But the young actor playing 40, he's got to be mid-40s now.
Good for Ryan. Well, good for Ryan. I'm glad he turned out okay.
Yeah, he's surviving.
He's surviving. All right, so you meet Sam, and then from there, do you guys just how long is there a courtship before you get married? Is that a thing? That's a Hercules thing. Do they call it a courtship? With
6 months later, I proposed, but I only saw her a couple months during that time because I'm in New Zealand. She's on a series called, oh my gosh, what was it? ER came out, and her Chicago Hope. She was on Chicago Hope at the time.
Okay.
So I think that one only lasted 3 or 4 seasons or something, and ER went forever. But we got married a year later, and we've been together 27 years now.
Wow. And you have 3 or 4 children?
We got 3.
3. Okay. Your youngest is your youngest son, who's 19, or your daughter?
It's like my boys are 23 and 21. My daughter is 19.
Okay.
And my 23-year-old has done 10 movies already. My 21-year-old's been in 5.
Oh my goodness.
My daughter's just an artist. She likes doing the stuff what she's doing. Braden, my oldest, is now he wants to run for office. He just spent a week up in Washington D.C. With the Young Republicans Club, and he just released his 2nd book. His first book, his name's Braden Sorbo. His initials are BS. His first book was The BS Guide to Politics for Young Kids, and his recent one is called Embracing Masculinity.
Wait a second. Is he going to run for office before you run for office?
Probably. I have no interest running for office. I got called. Minnesota called me up. The Republican Party called me up 3 months ago, wants me to run against Tim Walz. And I said, I have zero interest running for politics, and I have zero interest moving back to Minnesota.
I keep wondering, because this last God's Not Dead was it was an election movie, and so we were at CPAC and all the other things, the RNC and with Dean. Dean came back in this one.
I heard that. I'm doing a movie with Dean later this summer. We're doing a golf, a faith-based golf movie.
Oh, that's cool. Well,
Yeah,
Dean, I keep thinking, when's Dean gonna run for office? Right? He's like tailor. Yeah, he's tailor made for it. It seems like he's like. Seems like it's clicking in his head, even though he says I'm not yet. But I don't know. I think he'll be running for something. That's funny. Well, good for your kids. That's pretty cool. All right, so What If is coming out this summer theatrically in August. That's awesome.
Well, it's very exciting.
We appreciate you. God bless you, and make today a great day. See ya.